welcome to another exciting episode of Token Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, the friendly neighborhood Zach Stat Pearson, and today I'm joined by he whose pen needs no introduction, a one, Keith Williams.
Hi, Zach. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
All right, nice to meet you, and I appreciate you taking some time to do this interview with us. It's not hard to book a legend, but it is hard to interview one. You guys are a very shy bunch, apparently.
Yeah, we kind of like do our work kind of alone, so.
Yeah. Well, isolation breeds focus, as they say. All right. Well, for the uninitiated, I'm going to get into basically helping audiences discover who you are, what you're about. And, if there's anything you want to promote at any point in time, as I've stated, feel free to just let me know before we get to the end. So first off, please tell the audience who you are and what you do within the industry.
Oh, hi. I'm Keith Williams. I've been working in the industry for about 40 years, over 40 years. And I guess what I'm best known for is being an inker of comic books. Being an inker actually means that after the pencil work is put down by another artist, I would come in and finish the artwork. I would put Indian ink, which is a black ink, down on paper using a quill pen, which is very old fashioned, but that was our thing to do. Quill pen that I would dip into ink, and then I would put it onto the paper and go over the pencil lines that are there. I can also use a brush too, to the same effect. I do not, as an inker, I totally copy the pencil work that's underneath. That will be underneath my inks. We also enhance. We have to know things like anatomy and how to draw things like cars and buildings and trees and things like that. So that if there are any problems with the pencils, if the pencil might have left something out, or you might have drawn something wrong, or the perspective of a building could be off, that we'd be able to jump in there and fix those things, and so that they would be able to be ready to print.
Fantastic. I always knew you guys were more than tracers, but actually getting the confirmation for the public. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay. Oh, well, after that, I guess I'll go into number 2, which is, what was the project you enjoyed working on the most? And no, it does not just have to be Marvel based.
Well, I know it doesn't have to be, but it's going to be basically because as a kid, I watched Spiderman back in the 60s, and thought that was a really cool cartoon. It was like one of the few superhero cartoons that were around at that time, actually. I got to say that the book that was like, for me, the best to work on was Web of Spider-Man, because it was Spider-Man. It had the characters. It had Aunt May and Mary Jane, and all of his villains appeared in there, I think, at least once while I was working on the run. And it was also great working with the penciler Alex Soviak. He was the pencil on the book during the time that I was working on it, and Jim Selkrup, who was the editor. They were all really great guys, and I really enjoyed working on it. It was a dream come true, something that I never thought would actually really ever happen, but it did, and I did my best to make sure that I stayed on it for as long as I did, which was about 5 years. Yeah.
That is amazing. For those who are unsure about it, I'll be sure to try to provide a link to that particular book so you can firsthand experience his legendary talents. Well, I don't know what you can and cannot speak on now, but if you have to pass on this question, I totally understand. Are there any projects that you can currently speak on that won't get you in trouble?
Fortunately, yeah, there are one or two. I've been working with this independent company called Green Archer Comics. They put out a book called Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. Johnny Dollar was a radio program, I believe, back in the 40s, most likely. And it's about I think, an insurance investigator. At the moment, I'm doing one of their alternate covers. That I would pencil and ink myself in black and white. There's no color on it. So there's that, and there is also a comic strip that I'm working on right now. It's for this independent newspaper that's out. That's called A Kid and a Comic, and I am doing my part is putting in an original character that I created like years ago, called Elver, and I'm using that to use for the comic strip, which is it's what is it? It's like it's a direct mail newspaper that this is going to be on. People could I guess purchase it online. Yeah, so there's that, and what else do I have? And then there's a sketchbook that I'm working on that still working on right now. It's on the Kickstarter actually at this moment. That's of my artwork, prints and things that I've done in the past. Mostly full color, some black and white, and that's coming out of New Pain Productions, with the help of another friend artist of mine, Keith Champagne. So right now that thing has like 13 days left to go on Kickstarter, and it already made its pledge amount, and it's still going. So if anybody's interested, it's Keith Williams' sketchbook. Take a look at it on Kickstarter, and the campaign date ends on June 18th.
Okay, Web of Spider-Man, Johnny Dollar, A Kid in a Comic.
That's some of the stuff that I'm doing right now.
Okay, we have Web of Spider-Man, Johnny Dollar comic, A Kid in a Comic, and Keith Williams sketchbook, full color. All right. Well, I'll be sure to again provide links where applicable after this video goes up, so people can be sure to find you, or at least know where they can see your talent in action. All right. Well, I'm glad that not everything was NDA. That really makes this flow a lot more smooth. All right. So I guess next I would ask you, what do you think was the key moment in your life that made you realize this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life? This is possibly my favorite question I get to ask anybody.
Well, I guess I got to say, like after I discovered comics, like my grandma gave me my first comic. After I discovered that, me and a friend of mine, I lived in the projects, Glenwood houses in Brooklyn, and me and my friend, we would come out into the hallway area, and we would sit down the hallway and paper and pencil and stuff, and we'd start drawing comic books because we loved comic books so much, and just kept doing it. Like almost like every weekend, we would take a little bit of time and create our own characters, and it was always a lot of fun. And I guess it just really stuck with me. After that point, I was always trying to draw the characters that I would see in comic books, and I always had fun doing it. And as time went by, I was like thinking, well, maybe I could actually do this for one of the companies one day, and so it was like I guess I just kind of like willed it, like a lot to get to the point where I could actually do it as a thing in my life, as my job. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got to go from a humble beginning to a legendary and historic career. I'm sure many people would like to fantasize about working in the industry as long as you, but it's always nice seeing someone who's actually done it. Um, all right, let's see. Well, other than that, let me see what I got next for you. Do you have a favorite character design that you've created? Outfit or original character design?
Well, yeah. As I mentioned before, Elva, she was a character that I created when I was in school visual arts, and I had Will Eisner as a teacher there, and
Will
he
Eisner
gave
was
us
your
an
teacher.
assignment. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was. Yeah, yeah. That was one of the main reasons why I went to the School of Visual Arts, was because he was teaching there, and it wasn't easy getting into his class. but I bought the contract with God with me, and that was one of the first graphic novels actually. And I asked him to sign it. I did it after bothering him a bunch of times to be in his class, and he signed it, and he looked at, I get, as he was signing, he was looking at the class and said, "See, this is how you get into my class."
That is hilarious.
Complimenting him in books and stuff. So yeah, it was great. It was very funny, but he was actually serious about me being in his class. Thank goodness. And because as I look back, my style and stuff wasn't really that great. So he really took a chance with me, and I really do forever appreciate that.
I mean, I know, well, again, I don't know who will and won't see this, but me personally, I know and am well aware of that man's career. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but let's just say in the world of visual arts or teaching of visual arts and artistic mediums, whether you're into cartoons or not, that man's name does come up. And especially, I know there was one particular teacher who, I can't remember their name that I had, they weren't as epic as yours, who was a fan of The Spirit, if you remember that.
Yes.
Which was one of the first
that
books.
was the thing that brought me in. Yeah.
Yes, but also what made it so unique was the fact that it's not that there were no rules. It was more like the rules were malleable. So some of the design work done in The Spirit is still unique to this day because it just chose not to adhere to a system that technically hadn't existed but was in the middle of getting established, which is something that a teacher of mine liked to try to get us to do. It was basically like saying think outside the box but going into more detail. Here's your set of rules. Here's the box that you're in. Don't just assume that you have to use these rules the way they tell you. Play around with them. But that sounds a lot better than just saying think outside the box, kids. And The Spirit was one of the first examples we were given.
Yes, I gotta agree with that. Everything about the way he was telling stories in the comic strips was a comic strip, and from the way he designed the title, which would go through lots of different ways of looking, and it was always very interesting to expressions on his characters' faces. Just the pacing of his stories were absolutely amazing. It gave it a slightly like cinematic feel to it, which was great. The panels didn't all have to be perfectly, like rectangular, like six to a panel, whatever it is. He went and did things that helped to tell his story, and that was absolutely, like amazing. And that's what kind of like attracted me to him and to like being in his class was basically The Spirit. I was reading the Spirit when it was in Warren magazines. The same guys who did Creepy and Eerie and stuff like that. And that's how I got to really discover The Spirit. And to get to know and discover Will Eisner.
Yeah, we were rarely allowed to touch it, but one day I do hope I get to find like a more recent edition and get to actually fully experience that book. It's kind of weird. A book I had to do an essay on, I never got to actually fully read because, well, it was worth a lot of money at that time. So, and I have to share it with like 20 other people, which, well, that kind of made me mad, but we won't get into that. But yeah, I definitely appreciate Will Eisner. And just as a cartoonist, his name is one of the few names that people can actually recognize from credits because it was so distinct. But yeah, we could be on him all day. Let me move on real quick.
Oh, yes.
If you had to introduce new readers to the world of graphic novels, like someone who's not necessarily a child, but let's just say they're early 20s, what books would you recommend for them?
Well, I actually I worked on a graphic novel. It was called The Harlem Hellfighters. And it was an absolutely incredible book, graphic novel. It was sort of like hidden history of African Americans, like being part of an infantry back in World War One, and all of the things that they had to go through to finally be able to fight for the country that they wanted to fight for, which was the United States. A lot of things got in their way, of course, unfortunately. But they finally did get to fight, and they had to fight in France. That's where they spent most of their time in combat, and they, as a matter of fact, spent more time in combat than any other American unit, and never lost a foot of ground. Never had the enemy never captured any of them, and even though with all that, they still, once they came back home, supposedly as heroes, they still faced discrimination. So that was that's one of the the graphic novels. Another one that's not what that I worked on, but Will Eisner, Contract with God, was absolutely incredible. Like another piece of amazing storytelling. I'm sure there's a few more, but those are the ones that really, they're the ones that stick in my head right now.
Harlem Hellfighters is one of the ones where if I could just find one person with the licensing, I would love to turn that into an audio drama so much. I don't, but time has passed, so I don't even know if the original license holder or the family or the company is even still around. So, hell, if I know how to find it, no pun intended.
Well, it's been bounced around as a possible movie. I know that Spike Lee, I think, had it for a while, and maybe Will Smith. But other than that, I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, exactly. Even I know it got ping-ponged. Unfortunately, the appeal is there, but sometimes the people who can buy it aren't the people who can best utilize it. I've learned that very quickly in the world of entertainment.
Boy, wow.
Yeah, we'd be here all day on that stuff. Do you feel that your colleagues in the industry who have been in it as long as you collectively see digital formatting as a potential danger to the graphic novel industry, or do you think it is a perceived threat and is actually a trivial issue?
Well, actually, I think of it as another step into the future. It's like when Photoshop came around, and people started to discover, like artists started to discover, oh, well, I could darken my pencils. I don't need an inker anymore because, like Photoshop can do that for me. And also it gave other comic book companies, reason to not hire inkers, and I guess it would save them money, but it's like it's the future. You can't really stop it. You can use it as a tool. I think of these things as another tool to get to learn and to use when you're working, like on a book. I still like reading comic books, like paper. Like I like to have something in my hand. But and I think that things like books will still be around. But but like I understand, like that things just have to move on, and you just have to kind of like adapt to it.
So you do see it as a bit of a threat?
Oh, of everything that's new is is a threat if it's part of something that you've been doing most of your life, But I feel that like I could possibly use it to my advantage, and like I said, like learn how to use it. I have a Wacom tablet that I use, to like sketch out my ideas and stuff, but I still end up putting it on paper at the end of it. Basically because I like the fact that like I have something that's solid and real in front of me, and also it's good for the possibility of selling it later. So like I said, you use it, try to use these new things to your advantage, and and hopefully like it won't take out too many of us. I guess hopefully it wouldn't.
Yeah, like I was actually one of the people who my first thought was, wait a minute, if this comes out, like when truly digital iterations of comics, which basically was like one of the biggest threats or most talked about things in the 90s, which was like right when I came up, my first thought was, well, worst case scenario, they'll be able to still sell anything they make physically, because if someone who makes something only digitally exists, they'll never be able to get as much as someone who physically made it, put ink to paper, pen to paper, paint or airbrush to paper, in the case of Alex Ross, for example. And I was, for the most part, right. Yeah. Not to mention technology advanced so much faster. I actually consider only selling your stuff digitally as a threat, because even if you show them half of the image, they can use the same tools you did to basically remove watermarks and trademarks. So that's why that's why I always viewed it as, it was a perceived threat, but the real issue is that it's a threat to its own self, which the irony of that statement alone. But moving on. Now this one there.
Yes.
Yeah. I really want to know, what was it like when you found out you were getting that Inkwell award? What was it like when you got there, or what was it like when you got that official notification?
Well, it was surprising. I didn't really know why I was getting it at first, but it was an above and beyond award, which meant that I actually for this award that for the reason why I got the award was because I did more pieces of the art that was going to be auctioned off than anybody else, and I did not realize that I did something like that. I just enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed helping out Bob Allman with his Inkwell Award auctions. That was actually like the Joe Sennett auctions. Joe was the guy that was usually penciling the pages, and then they would send them out to different people to ink the same image. So you get a whole mess of different inkers. You can get a whole mess of different styles, and so it was pretty cool. And it wasn't just Joe. Every once in a while, they'd have a guest person do it, like Neil Adams or some other people, Walt Simonson, things like that. But I just did it for because I enjoyed doing it. To get an award, it really did surprise me, and it was very nice of them to offer it to me.
Okay. I mean, I know you may not feel like you've earned it, but as far as I'm concerned, hey, you more than earned it. I'm surprised that's the only award that I can find that you got. All right, so what kind of people should inkers or cover artists avoid working for, in your opinion? Doesn't have to be a particular personality. It can also just be particular companies if you want to name some names.
Well, no, actually, I really don't have an opinion on that. I feel that anybody that wants to, and that would include me, wanted to work for a certain company that, is giving you work and stuff like that. And if it's not, rubbing you the wrong way, do it. I don't try to hold a grudge or be upset with anybody trying to get work. So go to it.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Well,
not a problem for me.
No, that's fine. Well, as I stated, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to listen and just ask questions. All right. So lastly, if you could give any advice to new artists looking to grow in this fine industry, what would it be from your years of experience?
Well, I would think draw every day if you can. Draw things other than comic books. Or it's good. They're great for reference to give you an idea of the style you might want to do for yourself. But you should also take some life art classes. Look at things like cars and trees. Look at textures. Of real things. And then you could interpret them the way you'd want to. In your art style. But should always look at life. Great things, magazines, stuff like that, different kinds of magazines, muscle building magazines, or just, fashion magazines, things like that. So you can see how clothes work, how they fold on a person's body, how they move around and stuff like that, hair and things like that. So it's check all that out. You got a ton of reference out there, just use it. You should listen. You should listen to people who you're showing your artwork to, who's going to critique you. It may not always be what you want to hear, but, there may be some pieces in there that you might, actually need that will help you better yourself. This isn't writing or art, just listen, use what you think is good and discard the rest if you have to. But, you should always listen, be patient and try to withhold being overly sensitive. Not everybody's going to like what you're doing, and they might be a little bit more, vocal about it. But you hear this stuff and take it in, and maybe you can use it to make yourself better. And if you want to scream and yell, you can always do that when you go back home after the critique. And then observe, just observe things, just observe, I guess life. And we used to have reference files for everything, for art, for figures and for machinery and stuff like that, so that if we need to look at it, we can just pull it out. Now you got Google, you got the internet and stuff like that, which is great. But you also got stuff that's in your head too, and this way, you can just sometimes pull something out of your head and just draw it without having the reference, just observe and, take some mental pictures of stuff. I just think, with that, there's a chance. There's a chance you could be working either in Marvel or DC or in an independent comic book or whatever you want to do. It might not even be comics. I mean, I've worked on school shows and stuff like that, plays, doing backdrops and things like that, which was totally different from comic books. It's always good to try and do different things, and all the different things you do, you can always put it into what you're, I guess, doing. If it is comic books, you can always add that little extra feature. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think.
So don't let constructive criticism lead you down a negative path. Don't be scared to evolve and experiment, try new things. Draw every day and learn from everything around you, not just the people you like, the people you don't like, and the things you have drawn and the things you haven't drawn.
There you go. There you go.
Fantastic. Well, Mr. Williams, I legitimately appreciate you not being scared to do this, but also you coming through in general. I'm not new, far from it, damn near 40, but I'm new-ish, I'll say, to the world of graphic novels, and I have dipped my toe into some of your stuff, and you've definitely gave me some stuff to look forward to or to go hunt down. Web Spider-Man, Johnny Dollar comic, A Kid in the Comic, your own personal sketchbook, Harlem Hellfighters, and Contract with God. Is there anything else you think you might want to bring up or you think people should just look into?
Well, this weekend I'm going to be at Brooklyn Comic Con, and if you don't see me there, I'm at a con almost every other week, if anything. Come by and say hi.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and if I ever get a copy of Harlem Hellfighters, you will be the first autograph I try to hunt down, sir.
One other thing. If you wanted to look at my stuff online, you could check out Instagram. It would be under Keith Williams Comic Book Art, and this way you get to see a bunch of the stuff that I've done.
Fantastic.
So there's that too, and you can also check me out on Facebook also.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to have visuals up for some of the stuff you've worked on throughout the course of this video. I know I don't have pictures of that character Elvira that you said you made, so if you can link me to something from your Instagram, something, I'll make sure it gets in the video. I don't have a planned release date for this yet. I just got back from a water park convention. Oh my God, was it fun. But I have to get all of that out of the way first, and as soon as I do, I can guarantee you'll be right up there on my list of things to do, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you for your contribution to the arts, and thank you for what you've done in the realm of comics. It is always nice getting ready to talk to a legend and seeing them and knowing how they work and operate. I appreciate you coming through, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the next 20 or so years.
Thank you, Zach. I won't let you down. I'll try not to.
All right, you have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.